The Grand Council chamber stretched wide and tall. Hundreds of alien beings filled the massive space. Some had scales that shimmered under the bright lights. Others had fur that changed colors with their moods. A few floated in special tanks filled with glowing liquid. All eyes focused on one thing, the giant star map that covered the entire front wall. The map showed thousands of star systems. Blue zones marked peaceful trading routes. Green areas showed neutral territories, where all species could travel freely. Yellow sections indicated disputed regions, where conflicts still happened. But one small area glowed bright red. It sat alone in a quiet corner of the galaxy. That red zone was human space. Commander Zeth stood near the back of the room. His tall frame towered over most others present. His blue skin reflected his youth and inexperience. He had only recently earned his captain's rank. This was his first major council gathering. He listened as the older commanders discussed trade routes and patrol schedules. But one thing bothered him. Nobody mentioned the red zone. Not even once. Zeth raised his hand. The room fell silent. All heads turned toward him. "I have a question," he said loudly. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Why does nobody ever travel through the human sector? It would save time on many trade routes. The path cuts through their space directly." The silence grew heavier. Several aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some looked away. Others stared at Zeth with expressions he could not read. Finally, an elder commander named Vorik stood up slowly. His ancient body moved with difficulty. Scars covered his gray skin. He had survived more battles than anyone else in the room. Vorik's voice came out rough and tired. "Young Captain, there are rules in this galaxy that exist for good reasons. The most important rule is simple. Never enter human territory without their explicit permission. Never test their borders. Never assume their warnings are empty threats." Zeth felt confused. But humans only discovered space travel recently. They are new to the galaxy. They have small fleets, limited resources. Why should advanced civilizations fear them? A strange sound filled the room. At first, Zeth thought it was the ventilation system. Then he realized the sound came from the aliens around him. They were laughing, but not with joy. Their laughter held no humor. Only sadness and dark memories. Vorik walked slowly toward the star map. His old legs trembled with each step. He pointed at the red zone with a scarred hand. "You see this border? It has not changed in 50 years. Not 1 inch. Do you know why?" Zeth shook his head. "Because every species that tried to cross it is now dead," Vorik said simply. "Not defeated. Not captured, dead. All of them." The room stayed completely quiet. Vorik continued speaking. His words fell like heavy stones. 30 years ago, the Krathor Empire thought as you do now. They saw humans as weak newcomers. They sent a war fleet of 200 ships to claim human mining colonies. The Krathor were master warriors. They had conquered 17 species before humans. Vorik paused. His eyes grew distant, remembering. The entire Krathor fleet was destroyed in 6 hours. Not one ship escaped. Not one distress call got through. When we found the wreckage, every Krathor vessel had been taken apart with surgical precision. The humans studied their enemy, learned their weaknesses, then eliminated them completely. Another elder stood up. Her name was Thessia. She belonged to a species known for their intelligence and careful planning. "The Vortan Collective tried next," she said quietly. "They attempted a stealth approach. Small ships, silent engines. They thought they could slip past human sensors. 70 ships entered human space. 70 ships were caught within minutes. The humans returned them as empty hulls with a single message. We see everything. We forget nothing." Zeth felt a chill run through his body, but his pride fought against the fear. Perhaps those species approached with hostile intent. What if someone enters peacefully? Surely humans would respond differently to friends. Vorik laughed. The sound held no warmth. The Pelian Unity tried that approach. They were peaceful traders. They sent diplomatic ships with gifts and messages of friendship. They asked permission to establish a trade post just inside human borders. The humans refused politely but firmly. "That sounds reasonable," Zeth said. "See? Humans can be negotiated with." "The Pelians thought the same thing," Vorik replied. "So they crossed the border anyway. Just a small distance. They set up their trading post without permission. They believed humans would accept it once they saw the economic benefits." Vorik's voice dropped lower. The humans gave them one warning. Just one. The Pelians ignored it. Within one day, their entire trading fleet ceased to exist. The humans left the wreckage visible on scanners. A reminder. A lesson, Thesia spoke again. Humans do not bluff. They do not make empty threats. They state their boundaries clearly. They warn once. After that, they act. Every species that ignored this pattern is gone now. Szeth felt his confidence shaking, but part of him still resisted. How can such a young species be so dangerous? What makes them different? The room erupted with voices. Multiple aliens tried to answer at once. Finally, Vorik raised his hand for silence. That is the question that haunts us all, young captain. We do not fully understand what makes humans so deadly. Some say it is their adaptability. Others claim it is their absolute refusal to surrender. A few believe humans simply value their territory more than any other species values conquest. What do you believe? Szeth asked. Vorik turned to face him directly. His old eyes held deep sadness. I believe humans understand something we have forgotten. They know that true strength is not about conquest. It is about protection. They do not seek to expand. They do not want our worlds. They simply defend what is theirs with total commitment. And that commitment makes them unstoppable. The meeting continued for several more hours, but Szeth barely heard the discussions. His mind kept returning to the red zone on the map, to the stories of destroyed fleets, to the warning in Vorik's voice. When the council finally ended, Szeth walked out slowly. Other captains passed him in the hallway. They talked and laughed about ordinary things, but Szeth remained silent. His thoughts spun in circles. That night, Szeth sat alone in his quarters. He pulled up the star map on his personal screen. The red zone glowed before him. So small, so isolated, yet so feared. Curiosity burned in his chest. The warnings made him more interested, not less. He thought about his career, about making a name for himself, about being the first captain to truly understand humanity. Szeth made his decision. He would go to human space, not to invade or threaten, simply to observe, to learn, to see with his own eyes what made an entire galaxy fear one small species. He began planning his journey. He told himself he would be careful. He would stay just outside their borders. He would watch from a safe distance. What could go wrong? Szeth did not yet understand the most important lesson. The lesson that all the destroyed species learned too late. Humans did not give second chances. They did not accept excuses. They had stated their rules clearly, and they would enforce those rules absolutely. The young captain's journey was about to begin, and the galaxy would soon have one more story to tell about those who crossed into human space. 3 days passed since the council meeting. Szeth spent every hour preparing his ship for the journey. He worked in secret. He told no one about his real plans. The other captains thought he was conducting routine patrol missions near the outer sectors. Szeth's ship was called the Wanderer. It was small and fast, perfect for exploration and observation. The vessel had advanced scanning equipment and powerful engines. Most importantly, it had stealth capabilities that could hide it from basic sensors. Szeth selected his crew carefully. He chose 3 loyal friends who trusted him completely. First was Kira, his second in command. She had sharp eyes and quick reflexes. Her species excelled at navigation and tactical thinking. Second was Torvin, the engineer. His 6 arms could repair almost anything. He kept the ship running smoothly even in dangerous situations. Third was Nyx, the communications expert. Her hearing could detect signals across vast distances. She spoke over 40 languages fluently. On the morning of departure, Szeth gathered his crew in the main cabin. They stood around the navigation table. A holographic map floated between them, showing their route. I need to tell you something, Szeth began. His voice stayed calm and confident. Our true destination is the human border. We are going to observe their territory, study their patrol patterns, learn why the galaxy fears them so much. Kira's face changed color. Her skin shifted from blue to pale gray. Captain, that violates council regulations. We could lose our ranks, our ships, maybe even our freedom. Only if we get caught, Szeth replied. We will not cross into human space. We will stay just outside their borders. We will simply watch and learn. There is no law against observing from neutral territory. Torvin's many hands moved nervously. The stories say humans destroy anyone who comes near their space. What if they see observation as a threat? Those stories are exaggerated, Zeth said firmly. Humans destroyed fleets that invaded their territory, warships that attacked their colonies. We are not invaders. We are explorers, scientists. There is a difference. Nyx remained silent. Her large eyes studied Zeth carefully. Finally she spoke. Why are you really doing this, Captain? Is it curiosity, or is it pride? The question caught Zeth off guard. He thought carefully before answering. Maybe both. But does the reason matter? Someone needs to understand humans better. The Council operates on fear and old stories. Real knowledge is better than fear. The crew exchanged glances. None of them looked happy. But they had served with Zeth for years. They trusted his judgment. Slowly each one nodded agreement. Good, Zeth said. We leave in 1 hour. Check all systems. Make sure our stealth technology works perfectly. This mission succeeds or fails based on preparation. The Wanderer launched quietly from the station. No one noticed one small ship leaving among the hundreds that departed daily. Zeth plotted a course toward the outer rim. Toward the quiet sector where human space began. The journey took 5 days. They traveled through peaceful trading zones first. Then through neutral territories where few ships ventured. Each day brought them closer to the red zone on their maps. Each day made the crew more nervous. On the 5th day, their sensors detected the boundary, the invisible line that separated human space from the rest of the galaxy. No physical markers existed, no stations or satellites, just empty space that looked like every other region. We are approaching the border, Kira announced. Distance is 3,000 units and closing. Zeth leaned forward in his chair, his eyes fixed on the view screen. Slow to minimum speed. Activate all scanning equipment. I want to see everything. The ship glided forward carefully. The crew worked in tense silence. Their instruments swept the area constantly. Looking for human ships, searching for defense systems, finding nothing. This is strange, Nyx said quietly. I am detecting no activity at all. No ships, no communications, no energy signatures, nothing. Maybe this section is unguarded, Torvin suggested. Humans cannot patrol every inch of their border. Zeth felt uncertain. The emptiness bothered him more than visible defenses would have. Continue forward. Stay alert. They moved closer. 2,000 units from the border. Then 1,000. Still nothing appeared on their sensors. The silence felt unnatural, wrong. At 500 units from the boundary, Nyx suddenly straightened in her seat. Wait, I am picking up something. Very faint. An old signal broadcasting on multiple frequencies. What kind of signal? Zeth asked. Let me filter it. Nyx's fingers moved across her console rapidly. It is a recorded message, very old, playing on repeat continuously. Put it through the speakers, Zeth ordered. Static filled the cabin. Then a voice emerged. A human voice, male, calm, speaking in clear, simple words. You are approaching human territory. This is your only warning. Turn back now. Humans protect their space. We do not show mercy to intruders. This message repeats in 1,000 languages. If you understand any language, you understand this warning. Turn back. The message ended. Then it started again immediately. The same words. The same tone. No anger, no threats. Just cold, simple fact. Silence filled the ship's cabin. The crew stared at each other. Something about the message felt different from typical warnings. Most species made threats sound dramatic. They used strong words about power and consequences. This human message did none of that. It simply stated reality. Find the source, Zeth said. His voice sounded less confident than before. Nyx worked her console. There, I have it. An old satellite. Probably 50 years old based on its design. It just floats there broadcasting the same message endlessly. The view screen showed the satellite, a simple metal structure covered in solar panels. Nothing fancy. Nothing threatening. Just a speaker in space telling everyone to stay away. 50 years, Kira whispered. They put that there 50 years ago and it still works. Still warns everyone who comes close. Zeth felt a chill. The satellite represented something important. Humans built it decades ago. They maintained it. They made sure it continued broadcasting. That meant the warning was not temporary. Not emotional. It was permanent policy, Captain, Torvin said carefully. Maybe we should listen to the warning. We have learned something already. We know humans mark their borders clearly. We can report this to the Council. We have learned nothing useful, Zeth replied, but his voice lacked its earlier certainty. A recorded message proves nothing about human capabilities. We need to see actual defenses. Actual ships. The message is in 1,000 languages, Nix pointed out. That means humans studied every species in the galaxy. They made sure everyone would understand the warning. That shows serious preparation. Or it shows paranoia, Zeth countered. Maybe humans are afraid. Maybe they hide behind warnings because they lack real strength. Even as he said the words, Zeth did not fully believe them. Something about the satellite bothered him deeply. The simplicity of it, the patience it represented. Humans could have built impressive defense stations, massive weapon platforms. Instead, they chose one small satellite with one simple message. That choice said something about human thinking, but Zeth could not figure out what. Continue forward, he finally ordered, but slowly. Very slowly. The Wanderer moved toward the border. 300 units, 200, 100. The warning message played constantly in the background. The same words over and over. Turn back, turn back, turn back. At 50 units from the border, Zeth raised his hand. Stop here. Hold position. We will observe from this distance. The ship stopped. The crew watched their sensors carefully. Still nothing appeared. No human ships. No weapons fire. No response at all to their presence. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The warning message continued its endless loop. Otherwise, complete silence surrounded them. Maybe humans do not monitor this section, Kira said hopefully. Maybe we can... Every alarm on the ship screamed at once. The sensor board lit up like fire. Dozens of contacts appeared on the screen, ships, big ones. They surrounded the Wanderer in a perfect sphere. Where had they come from? How did they appear so suddenly? Where did they come from? Torvin shouted over the alarms. I do not know. Nix's voice shook with panic. They were not there 1 second ago. Then suddenly they were everywhere. Zeth stared at the screen. His mind struggled to process what he saw. The human ships had appeared without warning, without sound. His advanced sensors had detected nothing until they wanted to be detected. That meant human stealth technology was far beyond anything the galaxy possessed. They had been watching the entire time. They had let the Wanderer approach. They had waited to see what Zeth would do, and now they were here, silent, watching, waiting. Zeth realized his terrible mistake. The warning message was not a bluff. It was mercy. Humans gave intruders one chance to leave peacefully. One chance to choose wisdom over curiosity. Zeth had ignored that chance, and now he would learn what happened to those who did not listen. The view screen showed the human ships clearly now. They did not approach. They did not communicate. They simply existed. A wall of silent metal surrounding one small alien vessel. Captain, Kira's voice trembled. What do we do? Zeth had no answer. For the first time in his life, he felt true fear. The human ships hung in space like predators, waiting for prey to move. Zeth counted them on the sensor display. 27 vessels. Each one maintained perfect position in the sphere surrounding the Wanderer. The mathematical precision made Zeth's skin crawl. This was not random patrol. This was planned, calculated, controlled. Try to hail them, Zeth ordered. His voice came out steadier than he felt inside. Open a channel on all frequencies. Nix's hands shook as she worked her console. Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on standard diplomatic frequencies. Zeth cleared his throat. This is Captain Zeth of the exploration vessel Wanderer. We come in peace. We mean no harm to human territory. We request communication to explain our presence here. Silence answered him. The human ships did not respond. They did not move. They just watched. Send it again, Zeth said. Maybe they did not receive it. Nick sent the message 3 more times. Each time the result was the same. Complete silence. The human ships gave no indication they had even heard the transmission. They are ignoring us, Kira said quietly. Her skin had turned completely gray now, the color of deep fear in her species. Why would they ignore us? Torvin's 6 hands gripped the edges of his station. Maybe they do not care what we have to say. Maybe our reasons do not matter to them. Zeth felt frustration building inside him. He was trying to communicate, trying to be reasonable. Why would humans not even talk to him? Nix, are you certain they can hear us? Yes, Captain. My equipment shows the signal reaching their ships clearly. They are receiving everything we send. They simply choose not to respond. The minutes crawled by slowly. The human ships maintained their positions exactly. Not one of them drifted even slightly. That level of coordination suggested either perfect computer control or incredibly skilled pilots. Either option was impressive and frightening. "Captain, look at this." Kira brought up a detailed scan of the nearest human ship. "These vessels are smaller than I expected. Maybe half the size of a standard warship, but the density readings are strange. They pack far more mass into that space than should be possible." Zeth studied the data. Kira was right. The human ships were compact, efficient. Every inch of space appeared to serve a purpose. No wasted design, no decorative elements, pure function. "What about weapons? Can you identify their armaments?" "That is the strange part," Kira replied. "I cannot identify specific weapon systems. The hull design is smooth. No obvious gun ports or missile tubes. Either their weapons are hidden or—" She trailed off. "Or what?" Zeth prompted. "Or their entire ship is the weapon," Kira finished quietly. The statement hung in the air. Zeth thought about what that might mean. Ships designed as single unified weapons systems. Not vessels that carried weapons, but vessels that were weapons. The concept was alien to everything he knew about space combat. "Try a different approach," Zeth said. "Send a message explaining that we will leave immediately. Tell them we made a mistake. We should have respected their warning." Nix composed and sent the new message. Once again, the human ships gave no response. They continued their silent observation. "This is worse than threats," Torvin muttered. His hands moved nervously across his console, checking and rechecking systems. "Threats I could understand. This silence is unbearable." Zeth understood what Torvin meant. When an enemy shouted threats or made demands, you knew what they wanted. You could negotiate, find compromise. But this absolute silence left no room for dialogue. No path to resolution. The humans were not treating them as diplomats or even as enemies. They were treating them as objects, things to be studied and processed. An hour passed. Then two. The human ships never moved, never communicated. They simply existed in their perfect sphere formation, watching, always watching. Zeth noticed something else unsettling. His crew's stress levels were rising rapidly. Kira kept checking her sensor readings over and over. Torvin ran diagnostics on systems that did not need checking. Nick stared at her silent communication console with growing desperation. The waiting was breaking them down mentally. Was that the purpose? Did humans understand psychological warfare better than military warfare? Keep the intruder trapped in uncertainty. Let fear and stress do the work that weapons might not accomplish. If so, the tactic was working perfectly. "Captain," Nick said suddenly, "I am detecting new activity. The human ships are scanning us, very detailed scans. They are examining every system on our vessel. Can you block them?" Zeth asked. I tried. "Their scanning technology passes through our shields like they do not exist. They are learning everything about our ship, engine capabilities, weapon systems, shield frequencies, everything." Zeth felt violation at the thought. The humans were taking his ship apart with sensors, studying it, learning its weaknesses, and he could do nothing to stop them. How long will the scanning take? At this intensity? Maybe 10 more minutes. They are very thorough. Those 10 minutes felt like hours. Zeth watched the human ships on his view screen. They remained perfectly still. Perfect silence. Perfect control. He realized he was seeing human nature displayed in their ships. Patience, discipline, absolute confidence. When the scanning finally stopped, nothing changed. The ships continued their watch. Zeth made a decision. "Helm, plot a course away from the border. Back the way we came, slowly." "Are we leaving, Captain?" Kira asked. Hope filled her voice. "We are going to try," Zeth replied. "Move at minimum speed. No sudden movements. Let them see we are withdrawing peacefully." The Wanderer began to back away from the human border. Zeth held his breath. Would the human ships let them leave? Or would this movement trigger some response? For a moment, nothing happened. The human ships maintained their positions. Then, smoothly and silently, they began to move. They stayed in formation around the Wanderer, maintaining the same distance, the same sphere pattern. They were following. "They are matching our movement exactly," Kira reported. "Staying with us as we withdraw." "Keep going," Zeth ordered. "Continue backing away." The Wanderer moved slowly away from the border. 100 units. 200. 500. The human ships followed every meter of the journey, always watching, never communicating, never threatening, just present. At 1,000 units from the border, Zeth tried to increase speed slightly. Immediately, the human ships matched the change. They stayed in perfect formation, perfect distance, like shadows that could not be escaped. Torvin made a frightened sound. "Captain, they are not just following us. They are herding us. Look at the formation pattern. They are guiding us along a specific path." Zeth studied the tactical display. Torvin was right. The sphere of human ships was not symmetrical anymore. The ships on certain sides had moved slightly closer. Others had dropped back slightly. The subtle pressure was directing the Wanderer along a particular route. Away from the border, yes, but also away from certain areas, toward others. "They are controlling where we go," Zeth said. The realization made him feel helpless. "We have no real freedom of movement anymore. They are deciding our path. Can we break through?" Kira asked desperately. "Make a run for it?" Zeth shook his head. "Look at their positions. If we try to run in any direction, we would have to pass directly by multiple human ships. They would intercept us easily. They are faster than us. That much is obvious from how precisely they match our movements." The chase continued for another hour. The human ships herded the Wanderer steadily away from their border. Zeth felt like a child being escorted out of a room by silent adults. No words needed. "Just firm, inevitable guidance, Captain." Nix's voice cracked with stress. "New contacts ahead of us. More human ships." The view screen showed what lay in their path. A massive debris field filled the space ahead. Wrecked ships floated among twisted metal and scattered components. Dozens of vessels, maybe hundreds. All destroyed, all alien. The graveyard that Vorik had mentioned in the council meeting. The place where those who ignored warnings ended up. "They are taking us there," Kira whispered. "They want us to see it," Zeth understood with horrible clarity. This was the human response. Not immediate destruction, not threats or demands, simply this. Silent escort to a place of learning. A classroom where the lesson was written in wreckage and death. The human ship stopped at the edge of the debris field. They maintained their sphere formation. Still silent, still watching. The message was clear without any words being spoken. Look, learn, understand what happens here. The Wanderer drifted slowly into the graveyard of those who had crossed into human space. Zeth stared at the destroyed ships surrounding him. Each one represented a species that had ignored the warning. Each one had believed themselves strong enough, smart enough, or lucky enough to be different. All of them had been wrong. "Captain," Torvin said in a tiny voice. "What do we do now?" Zeth had no answer. He could only stare at the wreckage and wonder if his ship would soon join it. The human vessels hung in space around them, patient, watchful, waiting to see what lesson Zeth would learn from this silent classroom. And in that moment, surrounded by the dead and watched by the deadly, Zeth finally began to understand why the galaxy feared humans. It was not their weapons, not their technology, not their numbers. It was their absolute certainty, their unwavering commitment to their boundaries, their patience to teach rather than simply destroy, and their terrifying confidence that every intruder would eventually learn the same lesson, turn back. Or die. There was no third option. There never had been. The Wanderer drifted deeper into the debris field. Broken ships surrounded them on all sides. The wreckage stretched for thousands of units in every direction. Zeth had never seen so much destruction gathered in one place. "Reduce speed to minimum," Zeth ordered. His voice barely rose above a whisper. "Activate external lights. I want to see everything clearly." The ship's powerful lights cut through the darkness. They illuminated the graveyard in harsh detail. What they revealed made the crew fall completely silent. The destroyed ships belonged to dozens of different species. Zeth recognized some designs immediately. A Krathor battlecruiser floated nearby, its hull torn open like paper. The Krathor built the strongest armor in the galaxy, yet something had ripped through it easily. Further ahead, a cluster of Votan stealth ships drifted in pieces. Their famous invisible hulls had not saved them. "Look at that one," Kira pointed at a massive vessel. "That is a Draxian dreadnought. Those ships carry enough firepower to destroy planets. What could have done that to it?" The dreadnought had been cut into sections. Perfect, precise cuts that divided the huge ship into 5 equal pieces. like someone had measured carefully before slicing through solid metal. The cuts were so clean they looked surgical, intentional, a demonstration of control rather than wild destruction. Torvin brought up scanning data. "Captain, I am reading wreckage from at least 40 different species here. Some of these ships are very old, 50 years or more. Others look recent, maybe only months old. That means humans have been doing this for decades," Nick said quietly. "For this is not a recent policy. This is long-term commitment." Zeth moved the Wanderer slowly through the field. Every few minutes they discovered new horrors. A cluster of small exploration ships fused together by extreme heat. A line of warships that had been destroyed in perfect sequence, one after another. A massive cargo hauler that had been emptied completely, its cargo hold stripped bare before the ship was abandoned. "Wait," Zeth said. "Go back. Scan that cargo ship again." Torvin brought up detailed readings. "It shows no battle damage, no weapon impacts, no hull breaches from combat. It was just emptied. Why would humans empty a cargo ship and then leave it here?" Kira wondered. The answer came to Zeth like cold water. They were not destroying an enemy. They were removing a trespasser. That cargo ship probably entered human space by accident. Maybe their navigation failed. The humans did not kill the crew. They just removed everything valuable and pushed the ship back out as a warning. The thought was somehow more frightening than outright destruction. It showed calculation, control, the ability to choose different responses based on the situation. Humans did not simply kill everyone who entered their space. They evaluated, judged, then acted accordingly. That required intelligence and restraint. Two things that made an enemy far more dangerous. The crew continued their silent journey through the graveyard. Each new discovery added to their growing horror. Zeth noticed something else disturbing. In all the wreckage, he saw no human casualties. No destroyed human ships. No debris that matched human design. Only alien remains. "They win every encounter," Zeth said aloud. "Every single one. That is statistically impossible unless they only fight when they are certain of victory," Kira finished his thought. "They choose when and where combat happens. They control every variable." A small object floated past the view screen. Zeth ordered the ship to stop. "Bring us alongside that. I want to see what it is." The object was a message buoy, old but still functional. Its surface showed wear from decades in space, but the system still worked. A single light blinked steadily on its side. "It is broadcasting," Nix reported. "Shall I play the message?" "Yes." A human voice filled the cabin. Female, young, speaking in clear, measured tones. "This graveyard exists as a teaching tool. Every ship here ignored our warnings. Every captain believed they were special, different, that their reasons justified trespassing. They were all wrong. This is not cruelty. This is consequence. We asked them to turn back. They chose not to listen. We do not celebrate these deaths. We simply do not allow them to be meaningless. Learn from their mistake. Respect our boundaries. Or join them here. The choice is always yours. This message will remain here as long as this graveyard exists." The message ended. Silence returned to the cabin. The words echoed in Zeth's mind. The human voice had not been angry or proud, just factual, stating simple truth. That somehow made it worse. "They built a monument," Torvin said softly. "A monument to warn others. They could have cleaned this up, hidden the evidence. Instead, they left it visible. On purpose." Zeth understood the strategy now. This graveyard served multiple purposes. It removed destroyed ships from human space. It warned other species about the consequences of trespassing. It demonstrated human power without requiring constant combat. One debris field did the work of 1,000 threats. "Captain, look at your console," Kira's voice shook. "The human ships. They are doing something." Zeth checked his tactical display. The sphere of human vessels that had been following them had changed formation. They were no longer surrounding the Wanderer. Instead, they had formed a single line, a wall between Zeth's ship and the way back to human territory, blocking any path forward, making clear that the only direction available was away. Then, as Zeth watched, the human ships began to back away slowly, maintaining their line formation, creating distance, but their sensors remained locked on the Wanderer. Still watching, still tracking, making sure Zeth understood the lesson. Suddenly, all the power in the Wanderer died at once. Lights went dark. Engines stopped. Life support systems went to emergency backup. The ship became a dead floating shell. What happened? Zeth shouted. Torvin, report! I do not know. Torvin's 6 hands flew across his console frantically. All primary systems just shut down. No warning. No error messages. They just stopped working. Kira checked her station by emergency light. This is impossible. Multiple independent systems do not fail simultaneously without cause, unless someone made them fail, Zeth finished. His blood turned cold. The scans. Earlier, when the humans were scanning our ship, they were not just learning about our systems. They were finding ways to control them. The implications crashed down on him like a physical weight. The humans had been inside their computer systems. They had studied every circuit, every program, every control pathway, and they had found a way to shut everything down remotely. Without warning, without defense. They could have done this at any time, Nix whispered. Since the moment they scanned us, they could have shut us down near their border, or destroyed us. But they did not. They brought us here first. They wanted us to see this graveyard. They wanted us to understand before they acted. Emergency lighting cast shadows across the cabin. The crew sat in near darkness, surrounded by the wrecks of those who had made the same mistakes. Zeth felt true fear for the first time in his life. Not fear of dying. Fear of understanding just how completely outmatched they were. Time passed slowly in the darkness. Minutes felt like hours. The crew waited in silence. What else could they do? They had no power. No engines. No ability to run or fight or communicate. They were completely helpless. Then, through the view screen, Zeth saw movement. A single human ship detached from the distant line. It moved toward the Wanderer slowly, deliberately. Every movement showed perfect control. This was not a warship charging into battle. This was something else, something more frightening. They are coming, Kira stated the obvious. Her voice had gone flat, emotionless, shock setting in. The human ship was smaller than the others, more compact, sleeker design. It moved with an elegance that suggested either artificial intelligence or a master pilot. Maybe both. The vessel approached to within 100 units and stopped. For a long moment, nothing happened. The human ship simply floated there, studying them. Then a light appeared on its hull. A docking tube extended slowly. It reached across the space between the two ships, moving with mechanical precision. No wasted motion, no hesitation. The tube attached to the Wanderer's airlock with a heavy clang that echoed through the ship's hull. The sound made everyone jump. Then they heard something worse. The airlock cycling, opening. Someone was boarding their ship. They are coming inside, Torvin stated. All 6 of his hands gripped his console until his knuckles turned white. Zeth stood up from his chair. His legs felt weak, but he forced them to hold steady. Everyone stay calm. Do not make any aggressive moves. We are not warriors. We are explorers who made a terrible mistake. Footsteps echoed through the corridor outside the bridge. Slow, steady, confident. 3 sets of footsteps. 3 humans approaching. The sound grew louder, closer. Then the bridge door opened. 3 humans entered the bridge. They wore simple dark uniforms. No heavy armor. No obvious weapons. Just cloth and determination. But their presence filled the entire room. They moved with a certainty that needed no armor or weapons to be threatening. The lead human was female, tall, short, dark hair, eyes that seemed to see everything at once. She studied each crew member carefully. Her gaze lingered on Zeth. Then she spoke. You were warned. Her voice was quiet, calm, stating simple fact. Why did you come here? Zeth tried to find words. His mouth had gone dry. We wanted to understand. The galaxy fears your people. We wanted to know why. The human looked at him for a long moment. Her expression gave nothing away. So curiosity brought you here. Not hostility, not conquest. Just curiosity. Yes, Zeth answered. Nothing more. The human nodded slowly. Curiosity is not an excuse. It is not a justification. Every species has curiosity. But most species also have wisdom to know when curiosity becomes dangerous. You lack that wisdom. She walked to the view screen, gestured at the debris field surrounding them. Do you see these wrecks? Every captain here gave me the same speech. We meant no harm. We just wanted to understand. We are different from the others. They all believed their reasons made them special, made them exempt from our rules. The human turned back to face Zeth. Her eyes were hard but not cruel. There are no special cases. There are no exceptions. We stated our boundary clearly. We warned you. You chose to ignore both. Now you face the consequence of that choice. Zeth felt his last hope dying. You are going to destroy us. Maybe, the human said. Or maybe we will give you something more valuable than your life. We will give you understanding. Come with me. I want to show you why the galaxy fears us. I want you to understand what you chose to challenge when you crossed our warning line. She walked toward the bridge door. Her two companions followed silently. At the doorway, she paused and looked back at Zeth. Are you coming? Or would you prefer to stay here in the dark and wonder what happens next? Zeth looked at his crew. They stared back at him with fearful eyes. He turned back to the human. If I come with you, what happens to my crew? They wait here safely, the human replied. We have no interest in harming them. You are the captain. You made the decision to come here. Therefore, you will learn the lesson. They are just followers. Zeth straightened his shoulders, tried to gather what remained of his dignity. Then I will come. Show me what I need to understand. The human smiled slightly. It was not a kind smile, but it was not cruel either. Just knowing. Good. Follow me, Captain. Your education begins now. Zeth followed the three humans through the corridors of his own ship. His footsteps echoed behind their silent movements. They walked with purpose but without hurry, like they had all the time in the universe. Behind him, Zeth heard the bridge door close. His crew remained locked inside, alone, waiting. The humans led him to the airlock. The docking tube stretched between the two ships, like a throat waiting to swallow him. Zeth hesitated at the entrance. Once he stepped through, he would be completely in human control. On their ship. Their territory. Their rules. The female human noticed his hesitation. Second thoughts, Captain. No, Zeth lied. He stepped into the tube. The walk through the docking tunnel felt longer than it actually was. The walls were smooth metal, cold, clinical, no decorations, no comfort, just function. When Zeth emerged on the other side, he found himself in the human ship. The interior surprised him. He had expected military grey walls, weapon racks, battle stations. Instead, the corridors looked almost comfortable. Clean white surfaces, soft lighting. The air smelled fresh and slightly sweet, like growing things. Plants, maybe. This way, the lead human said. She guided him through several corridors. Zeth noticed everything he could. The walls showed no exposed wiring or pipes. Everything was hidden, integrated. The design spoke of extreme efficiency and careful planning. They passed a few other humans in the corridors. Each one glanced at Zeth briefly, then continued with their tasks. No one seemed surprised or concerned about an alien walking through their ship. Like this happened often. That thought disturbed Zeth deeply. Finally, they reached a room. The door slid open automatically. Inside was a small conference space. A table, several chairs. One wall was entirely transparent, showing the debris field outside. The human gestured for Zeth to sit. Would you like water? Food, she asked. The polite question caught Zeth off guard. No, thank you. Very well, the human sat across from him. Her two companions remained standing near the door. Silent guards. My name is Commander Sarah Chen. I oversee this sector of our border. You are Captain Zeth. I know your ship registration, your service record, your family connections. We learned everything about you when we scanned your vessel. Zeth felt naked under her gaze. You hacked our computers. We accessed your systems, yes. It is standard procedure. We need to understand who enters our space. Intentions, capabilities, connections, knowledge is protection. She leaned forward slightly. Tell me honestly, Captain, what did you hope to find here? Zeth thought carefully before answering. Lying seemed pointless now. I wanted to prove the stories wrong. The Council fears humans based on old tales and rumors. I thought direct observation would reveal the truth, that maybe humans were not as dangerous as the legends claimed. And now? Sarah asked. Now I know the stories were not exaggerated enough. The words came out bitter. You are more dangerous than anyone realizes. Sarah smiled slightly. Interesting answer. Most species focus on our weapons, our ships, our tactics. But you said we are dangerous, not powerful. You begin to understand the difference. She stood and walked to the transparent wall, gestured at the wreckage outside. Let me tell you a story, Captain, about how this graveyard began, about why we defend our borders the way we do. Zeth listened in silence as Sarah began to speak. Her voice remained calm and even, like she was teaching a class rather than explaining violence. 70 years ago, humans took our first steps into deep space. We were excited, naive, young. We believed the galaxy would welcome us. We prepared first contact protocols, practiced diplomatic greetings, studied alien cultures from the data we could gather. Sarah's expression hardened. We were fools. She touched the transparent wall. The first alien species we met attacked us immediately. No warning, no communication. They saw our colony ships as easy prey, saw humans as weak newcomers to be exploited. They destroyed 3 colony ships before we could react. 2,000 people died in those attacks. Men, women, children, all dead within hours of first contact. Zeth felt uncomfortable. He had not known this history. The Council never mentioned it. We tried to negotiate, Sarah continued. We sent messages. Offered peace. Offered trade. They laughed at us. They said humans were soft, weak, that we would make good slaves, that our worlds would make good conquests. Her voice dropped lower. So we went to war. She turned to face Zeth directly. That first war taught us important lessons. We learned that the galaxy does not respect peace offerings, does not value diplomacy from the weak. Out here, strength is the only language every species understands. So we became fluent in that language. Sarah activated a control panel. The transparent wall changed. Now it showed a holographic display. Images appeared. Battle scenes. Human ships fighting various alien vessels. We studied every enemy, every tactic, every weapon. We learned from each encounter, adapted, improved. Within 10 years, we had pushed back every attacker, reclaimed our space, secured our borders. The images shifted, showed human fleets growing larger, more advanced, more deadly. But we learned something else too. Something more important than any weapon technology. We learned that constant warfare is wasteful, expensive, painful. So we decided to establish a different approach. Another image appeared, the warning satellite that Zeth had encountered. We marked our borders clearly. We gave fair warning to everyone who approached. We made our rules simple and absolute. Stay out, and we have no conflict. Cross in, and we defend our space completely. No exceptions, no negotiations, no second chances. Sarah paused. Let the words sink in. Some species tested us anyway. They believed humans were bluffing, that we could not possibly enforce such strict rules. Those species created this graveyard. Each wreck you see outside is a lesson we did not want to teach, but were forced to deliver. She sat back down across from Zeth. Do you understand now? We are not conquerors. We do not want your worlds. We do not expand into other territories. We simply protect what is ours with absolute commitment. This is not aggression. This is survival. Zeth processed her words carefully. But why such extreme measures? Why not capture intruders? Warn them more than once? Give them chances to explain? Because mercy is seen as weakness, Sarah answered immediately. Because second chances encourage first chances. Because every time we showed flexibility, more species tested our borders. We learned that the only way to maintain peace in our territory was to be completely, utterly, absolutely consistent in our response. She pulled up another display. This one showed statistics, numbers, graphs. In the first 20 years of human space travel, we fought an average of 15 conflicts per year. Species constantly tested us, probed our defenses, attacked our outposts. After we established our current border policy, conflicts dropped to less than 1 per year. This graveyard is tragic, but it saved thousands of lives by preventing thousands of wars. Zeth stared at the numbers. The logic was harsh but sound. Fear prevented conflict more effectively than diplomacy ever had. So you sacrifice those who cross your borders to prevent larger wars? We give them fair warning, Sarah corrected. They sacrifice themselves by ignoring that warning. We do not hide our rules. We broadcast them constantly, in 1,000 languages. Anyone who crosses our border knows exactly what they are choosing. What about accidents? Zeth challenged. What if a ship's navigation fails? What if they cross by mistake? Sarah's expression softened slightly. We monitor intent carefully. If a ship clearly malfunctions and drifts into our space, we guide it out safely. If a vessel sends distress signals, we assist them. But the difference between accident and deliberate crossing is usually obvious. Your ship, Captain, came here with clear purpose. Full power, active sensors. You were not lost. You chose to enter. Zeth could not argue with that truth. He had chosen. His crew had tried to stop him. The warnings had been clear. He had ignored all of it because of pride and curiosity. What happens now? He asked quietly. You showed me this. Explained your history. Why? Why not just destroy my ship and add it to the graveyard? Sarah studied him for a long moment. Because you are not the first curious captain to cross our borders, and you will not be the last. The galaxy keeps producing individuals like you. Confident, curious, convinced they are different. We cannot kill all of you. That would be genocide, not defense. She stood again, paced slowly across the room. So instead, we try something different occasionally. We educate. We explain. We show the truth behind the fear. Most species see us as monsters, mindless killers protecting territory like animals. We want you to understand that we are thoughtful, deliberate, that our rules exist for good reasons, that every wreck in that graveyard represents a choice someone made. You want me to go back, Zeth realized? You want me to tell others what I learned here? Yes, Sarah confirmed. We want you to be our voice to the Council, to explain that human borders are not a challenge to overcome. They are a boundary to respect. We want you to help prevent others from making your mistake. She walked back to the table, placed both hands on its surface, leaned forward until her face was close to Zeth's. But understand this clearly, Captain. We are giving you a choice now. A rare thing. Most who cross our borders do not receive choices. They receive consequences. Her eyes bored into his. You can leave. Return to your ship. Power will be restored. You will be escorted back to neutral space. You will live, and you will carry our message to others. She paused. Or you can refuse. You can view this as imprisonment, coercion, propaganda. You can resist. And if you resist, we will treat you like every other intruder who ignored our warnings. Zeth felt the weight of the decision. This was not really a choice. It was an ultimatum wrapped in polite words, but at least it was something, more than most intruders received. I will carry your message, he said finally. I will tell the Council what I learned here, about your history, your reasons, your consistency. Sarah nodded with satisfaction. Good. But before you go, there is one more thing you must see, one more lesson you need to learn. She gestured toward the door. Come with me. I want to show you what happens to those who choose differently than you just did. Zeth felt cold dread settle in his stomach. What more could they show him? What lesson remained? But he stood and followed Sarah out of the room. Down more corridors, deeper into the human ship. They walked in silence for several minutes. Finally, they reached another room. The door opened to reveal something Zeth had not expected. A massive observation deck. Windows covered every wall. And beyond those windows, Zeth saw human space, planets, stations, ships moving peacefully between worlds, cities glowing on planetary surfaces, gardens in space stations, children playing in zero-gravity parks. Life, peaceful, normal, beautiful life. This is what we protect, Sarah said quietly. Not just territory, not just resources, but this our people, our homes, our future. Every ship in that graveyard threatened this. Maybe not directly, maybe not intentionally, but by crossing our borders without permission, they endangered everything you see here. She turned to face Zeth one final time. So tell me, Captain, if you were responsible for protecting all of this, what would you do? How far would you go? What rules would you enforce? Zeth stared out at the human worlds, at the life happening peacefully, because humans had drawn a line and refused to let anyone cross it. He thought about his own worlds, his own people. What would he do to protect them? I would do exactly what you do, he admitted quietly. I would give one warning. And after that I would show no mercy. Sarah smiled. This time the smile held genuine warmth. Then you truly understand now. Welcome to wisdom, Captain. It is painful to acquire but valuable to possess. Now let me take you back to your ship. You have a message to deliver,